What's up, guys?
No.
Welcome.
No. So cooked.
Welcome to Trims and Talk.
What's going on?
All the credits.
I just wanna talk with my brothers, is that too much to ask? Might as well look sharp, cause I'm doing it too. Trims and talk. Trims and talk. Trims and talk. I wanna know.
What will happen is that he'll edit it once with, so he won't
Yeah,
have this bit.
we'll chop it up. I mean,
I'll chop it up
that
there.
we don't want anything that reflects badly on a pillar of our community as you are.
How much worse can you get?
No, really, what it is that it's an opportunity just to just talk about yourself. I mean, what people have tended to do, or we've tended to do, is to have a conversation about people's lives. So they might talk about when they came here from the Caribbean, might talk about the work they've done. I know you've done a lot of youth work. That's how I first got to know you at the Hub. That's how I got to know you, Clinton, and Carl Case back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day.
We've had people here, younger people, who've said, you know, they owe a lot to you guys.
Yeah.
These people in their late 40s, like the Jonathan Williams, etc. They say that they owe a lot to you. I know you're big in carnival. You love your carnival.
Oh yeah.
Big style.
I know you do. Big style. You go around the world, don't you, with it?
That's it.
Yes.
I mean, I'm from the Eastern Caribbean, so, you know, we love carnival, and I go everywhere.
Can I get you to move slightly?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So you're not a Jamaican then?
No, I'm from St. Kitts.
So, you're like David.
Oh
then,
yeah.
Russell.
Apparently, St. Kitts is the most beautiful island in the Caribbean.
It's called nicknamed the Cradle of the Caribbean.
Is it?
That shows you how important we are. You know.
It's not a bad second best, is it? I meant no.
We're going to have a good
St. Kittian.
Actually, you see, you don't even know. We don't call ourselves Kittian. Yeah, we call ourselves Kittitians.
Kittitians.
Oh, Kittitians.
Kittitians. Yeah, we get
Yes, Kittitians, because I actually first knew about St. Kitts from Neville Busu.
Okay.
Yeah, because he always flew the flag for St. Kitts. Yeah.
I was born in St. Kitts. And, you know, and I'm actually going to St. Kitts on the 6th of January. I'm going to be down there for a month.
For a month?
What?
A month, yeah.
Yes.
I'm doing St. Kitts, and I'm going to go over to Anguilla.
Oh wow.
Northern Ireland for a week.
So you're away for 5 weeks?
No, I'll be away for 4 weeks, but 3 weeks will be in St. Kitts, and 1 week will be in Anguilla.
Yeah. Oh, nice time to go, isn't it?
Yeah. Was it just for you decided, you know what, let me just disappear out of the limelight of England and just go on?
I like to go away when I haven't been away for a few years, since the pandemic, actually. So I'm long overdue, but normally I like to go to try and go away and just get away for a month or two.
Like a snowbird, aren't you?
Yeah.
Is that what they call them in the Caribbean when they come from Canada and the States?
In the winter.
In the winter, snowbirds.
Yeah,
Yes.
So for me, I mean, like you did mention, you know, how you got to know you got to know Leroy. For me, I think again, like same as everybody else. When I knew you through the youth work circles.
Yeah.
You know, when I was trying to kind of get into youth work. There's nothing I haven't tried.
you know this podcast there, Lungani, it's a lot about the things you used to try to get into.
I know. It's bizarre because I was saying before you came, I was saying to Donald, I tried to join the police force. I tried to join the fire service. And Ed, well, to be honest, to Ed, and I still want to kind of work at the university, probably kind of lecture in something, you know. So I never really succeeded, even like youth work.
Well, you didn't talk, obviously you didn't speak to me.
No, that's the thing. I only found out, you know, like how much sway in youth work you had, like later in life. You know, when, well, you had retired by then, so really you couldn't help me.
So how did you get involved in youth work in the first place?
I've always had an interest in youth work. You know, I think from a very young age. I'm one of these guys who actually grew up and spent my youth in the Boys Brigade.
Boys Brigade?
Uniformed organisation.
Did you play an instrument?
I did, actually. I played several instruments. You know, at one point, I think the best instrument I played was the big drum. You know.
So you were walking through on the drum.
On the big drum. And that, I mean, I was actually... oh God, I can't remember the title of it, but I actually swung the mace as well for a couple of years. You know, so I led the battalion parades in Leeds. I think there's probably newspaper cuttings of me at the front with the mace, tossing it in the air and catching it. You know, so that's elsewhere. But I've always had an interest in sort of community and community development. So that's what led me into youth work, you know.
Yeah, because like from a previous conversation, you had mentioned, you know, like that you are even in the, you still have something akin to the, you know, like the star in Hollywood. In Leeds, you know, like if you say somewhere where there's still a mention of someone.
I think, you know, I mean, I grew up in Leeds, not in Sheffield, but I grew up in Leeds, and again, at a young age, I was quite active in my teens, sort of on protest marches and so on. And one of the things that I actually did in Leeds was to start the conversation rolling for the building of a youth centre in Chapeltown. And I suppose it was my pride and joy, because that youth centre was actually, at the time, I was a member of Hunslet Boys Club in Leeds, which because I lived in an all-white area. We had this really posh boys club, very active, and we think it was the best club in the country. And I wanted a similar one in Chapeltown.
So what would, at that time, what would you consider, what were you wanting then for the youth club in Chapeltown, which would make it the best?
Well, yeah, well, I actually thought I was having a good grounding in the sort of activities that I did. I mean, was a very outdoor person. So you'd find me at weekends in the Lake District, or I'd be canoeing down rivers and canoeing on the sea. I'd go camping every year. I'd go climbing on rocks and that sort of thing. So, but in all of that, I think one of the things that I also was doing within the Boys Brigade was learning sort of leadership skills. So I actually wanted to try and replicate something like that in Chapeltown. And I think from about the age of 16, I started speaking to the right people. And what they actually built in the end was what was known as Chapeltown Boys Club, now more appropriately renamed as the Mandela Centre in Leeds. So, and one of the things about me going off to do some training was that I was actually thinking that, okay, now it's the building is got going, I'll go and train and come back and run it. But I didn't go back to run it. I discovered Sheffield and came to Sheffield.
So the idea was to go back and run it. So you did have the leadership skills and leadership ambitions.
That's right.
But, you know, just going back to you said there about, you know, an upbringing which enabled you to be very outdoorsy. And back in the day, that wasn't something which young black kids were experiencing. I mean, you know, going, even if you lived near to the countryside, you didn't go out to the countryside. So that's quite a thing, isn't it, there, for you to be able to do that, and then to, you know, and then to actually want it again for more people.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as I said, I was in an environment that encouraged that sort of thing, you know. And again, I mean, the school that I went to, we did a lot of, we were quite close in Leeds to the Dales, so quite often we'd do things in the Dales. So we'd even go out to Ilkley and go on the Cowan Calf and learn to climb with ropes on the rocks and so forth, you know. And then, you know, as I said, we'd go up to the Lake District and so forth. So it was something I was interested in, and I actually had the opportunities to join in that activity. And so continued. I mean, you know, I was a lot younger and a lot fitter in those days.
So at home, I mean, I assume the parents were pushing you towards this, or it was one of those things that you found out yourself? Because I know most of our parents would have never thought, you know what, going out into the in the countryside and stuff.
Yeah, I think, I mean, my parents were always very encouraging. I mean, I have two brothers, and I think we've all, you know, done slightly different things. But I think it's with the encouragement of our parents. I mean, they wanted us to do well for ourselves, and would always encourage us to actually pursue whatever challenges we actually had. So I think that sort of positive encouragement enabled us to move forward quite quickly, because they weren't really putting major restrictions in our way, you know. I mean, I think quite anxious, because I can remember the first time I went camping with the Boys Brigade. We used to go to Flamborough Head every year for 2 weeks, and I can remember the first time, which would have been in about 1964, a long time ago.
Before I was born.
Before you were born, yeah. And I can remember, you know, because I was going to be like the one black boy with all these white boys in Flamborough for 2 weeks. And I think after a week, my mother came out to see me at the camp, you know. She came out for a day. She spent what she used it as was like a day trip to Bridlington, because again in the 60s, what used to happen quite a lot was that you'd have your one-day trip to the seaside.
Oh, yes.
So, you know, so my parents came to Bridlington for the day, and
they went up. Yeah, it's still a little journey from Bridlington to Flamborough Head.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes, I know Flamborough Head very well.
Yeah. So we came up and saw me and thought, this is okay. So for the next 12 years, I had no problem with going to camp every year for 2 weeks.
So you know, when you came down and to Sheffield in your training, is it training to be a youth worker?
Yeah. What I did, I actually went to Durham University to study youth work. And
so you went to Durham University?
Yeah.
The old, you know, that's after Oxford and Cambridge, Durham.
Oh, yeah, it was a very good place. You know, I think it's a good experience. And again, you know, I think when you think that in the 60s, the challenge of getting into a university was quite big, and nobody really encouraged you to do those sort of things. So you actually had to find your own way. You know, you make inquiries, you find out what you had to do, and I can even remember my father saying to me, you know, you've got a decent job. You know, I've got to do an apprenticeship as an electrician for the Yorkshire Electricity Board. Are you sure you want to give that up to go away and study? You know, and I said, yeah, I think it will pay off in the end, because that's really what I want to do long term. So off I went, and I think I learned quite a lot from that establishment. But it was an eye opener, because again, what I found was that I was in a minority on the campus. You know, I was on at a college called Van Mildert College.
And not only a minority racially, but they would have come from such different socioeconomic backgrounds of Durham University.
Exactly, yeah. So as I said, it was an eye-opener. And I think the other, apart, most of the other black students there, I mean, it was just a small cohort of us, but they were African students. And again, we gelled quite quickly. And sort of, we had the Africa Society. And we did our thing, you know. So, yeah. So yes, I mean, I enjoyed that. And again, it's a good learning curve. But certainly things were different in the 70s to where they are now. I mean, we didn't have things like learning mentors or anything.
You're on your own.
You're on your
You sink
own.
or you swim, don't you?
You get in there and you do your thing. And, you know,
So Durham, then straight after you came to Sheffield.
and then, and again, the sort of thing about coming to Sheffield was that I had to do a field placement. And I came to Sheffield to do a field placement. Because again, you see, when you go into these learning institutions, you learn new things. And one of the things I was sort of thinking, now, do I really want to do youth work, or do I want to do more community development sort of stuff? And then the industry at the time was community relations. So I came to Sheffield to do a placement with the Community Relations Council.
Yeah, I remember CRC, yep.
Yeah, the CRC. So I thought I'll try that and see whether I like the community relations industry. And and then I'm thinking, okay, where are the young people? So somebody said, oh, there's a youth club called The Hub. Why don't you actually, go down there and speak to the youth? So I think, and again, at that time, it was actually Des Smith, because Des Smith was the assistant CRO at that time. Yeah, and I knew Des from youth conferences and so forth that had gone to nationally. So he suggested I go down to the Hub. I sort of went down to this youth club. There's all these kids down there. They weren't really kids, but sort of young people. I'm thinking, there's hundreds of them, hanging out the windows. And I thought, okay, I think I can do something here. But at that time, I was only going to do my field placement and actually go back to uni. But it was a combination. One of the things that I did was that they had a residential weekend at a place called Unston Grange. While I was there, so I volunteered to go on this residential weekend with them, and did a couple of activities. And I thought, oh, this is nice, because I was gelling, and I think, I'm thinking, well, I've got skills that I think I can work with these young people.
So what do you think are your skills, were your skills? I mean, they are your skills, but what do you think the skills were which enabled you, because many of those youngsters there, their experiences in schools would not have been great. Their experiences with authority would not have been great. So they're in this youth setting there, and they want something, but you need to have people who can enable that to happen.
Yeah, and I think one of my things, I was quite activity focused. So I think I had a lot of skills in activity. One of them being photography. So one of the things the very first weekend that I did was that I set up a dark room at Munster Grey, and we sort of had little challenges to take a picture and develop it in a simple way. And that was one of the activities that I remember doing with some of the youngsters. I had drama skills because I was part of an arts group in Leeds called Uhuru Arts, and so I had all those sort of skills. I taught Saturday school again in Leeds. So I, my sort of background was, as I said, I was quite an active young person. So I was involved in quite a lot of youth activities, and I felt that I had skills that were transferable, and that I was beginning to gel in a fairly short space of time with these young people. not thinking at the time that I was going to come back to work in Sheffield.
Yeah.
So, and the story went that I did a 3-month field placement in Sheffield, went back to uni, saw that a job for a youth worker, it was a worker in charge job at the hub in the paper. I thought, oh, I'm going to apply for
My
that.
job.
That's my job. Yes. So, and that's how I accidentally sort of introduced myself, came back into a full-time job, and I was quite pleased about that. And but it wasn't all plain sailing. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think it was quite a challenge, because you actually met young people with all sorts of with their own challenges in life, whether they were sort of social, educational, recreational, and we sort of, and one of the things that I'm quite firm about is that I really, if I've got people around me, I want them to be actively engaged in something positive, And at the time, I mean, we had young people who actually wanted to do things that was positive. And I felt that I could actually facilitate that process. It wasn't about me implanting my skills then totally into them, but it's finding out what they wanted. So, and I think one of the big shifts was that I moved from being very outdoorsy to being more into social and educational sort of things, and I thought, there were things like the hub played football and cricket. Now, I didn't play football and cricket, so it was me at a disadvantage for this now. But how can we facilitate?
You're a canoeist. You're a climber.
I can play basketball.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, the wrong sports. Nobody wants to play basketball. Everybody wants to play football and cricket. How can we facilitate that? So I found a way to do that. And then there were kids who were in trouble with the law. How do we actually do that? So if you've got kids locked up, who goes to see them?
And that would be things you would do.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So again, my sort of skill set started to shift, and I found that whereas I used to play like basketball every week and so forth, then that became less and less and less and less. And it became less sports orientated and more into an educational base. And thinking, well, how can we actually do that? And again, the other big thing about me is that I'm very culturally minded, so I'm very much into sort of celebrating my African Caribbean culture, And one of the things that I set off to do almost immediately was to set up some sort of activity that helped us to celebrate that African Caribbean culture. So I as I sort of looked into it and developed, I'm thinking, I want to be more than just providing table tennis and
absolutely
and so forth in the centre, and that there was an opening and an opportunity to actually do that, so. Let's look at activities, look at a different activity level. If kids are, I'm employed by the education department. The young people that I'm dealing with who had been to school for 3 months, who do I talk to in the department and get those conversations going? So you actually found that we were actually, pushing the boundaries quite a bit at the hub, some people found us a bit of a pain in the ass, really, because they sort of say.
So what do you think you got from it then, personally? I can hear what you departed to the young people. What did you get?
I enjoy doing what I did, because I think I worked at a lot of different levels I had the skill set to do it. I mean, my father always used to say to me, "Why you're always giving away your skills? You know, everybody's going to be better than you." And I'm saying, "No, they wouldn't. You know, because I've got it, and I can share it. You know." And if they do better than me, that's great. And some of the young people that have actually
we've had some on here.
better than me.
Where they went into music and they've done really well, did really well in the music.
They've done all sorts. I mean, and even in education, I mean, there's things like the access courses, for instance. I mean, I know that the access course, when that started, the conversation for access courses in Sheffield started in my back office, with myself, Swat Keynes, Chris Searle, and others. We actually had the conversation, and we actually looked at ways as to how do we actually get young people access into education.
There are a lot of people. I mean, when I first came to Sheffield, I was working for Sheffield College. I had two main things I did in that first year, 1989. One, supporting Caribbean Sports Club. They had a little group of people, which had Ura Rennie on it, and then also the Access Group at Castle.
Okay.
And a lot of people over the next few years who went on to have good careers came out of that access course.
So we had the sort of conversations with Castle, we had the conversations with the university. So people went to do the social work course at the university. But it wasn't that the colleges at the time weren't pushing it. The conversations started from the grassroots. What would you young people want to do? How do you want to find yourself? And you find that by opening the doors to give people a second chance at learning, I mean, and way before that, when I first came, and I know it's, there was a guy called Basil Griffiths.
I remember Basil did the library at Sumas.
Oh, yes, I remember Basil.
Basil was teaching Saturday school for the West Indian Community Association up at Oxford Street. And because, again, I'd come from a background where I was one of the teachers in Saturday school in Leeds for the United Caribbean Association in Leeds, I sort of linked with Basil. And Basil was not only teaching Basil's Saturday school, but he was also teaching adult literacy at the university. So one of the things that I was finding would do with Basil is to find him young adults who actually had literacy problems and so forth, and he would bring them into his adult education program. And the other good thing about Basil was that he actually had a program, which I think he'd done 2 of them, called West Indian Fortnight, which it wasn't called. It wasn't called West Indian Fortnight. It was a West Indian festival that he did for 2 weeks with the libraries, and this was based at Burngreave Library. And
was it Burngreave? Because I know
it was at it was at Burngreave Library where it was. And he actually did this festival at Burngreave, and I thought, that's good. But we can expand on this, And from that, came the idea to do this 2-week cultural program, which I call the African Caribbean Fortnight, and that went on for 12 years, and I don't like to take the total glory for it, because I was inspired by what Basil was doing to bring forward that program, and again, some of that I drew on the experience that I'd brought with me, to actually help develop it. And what I thought is that we can get everybody involved and do a citywide activity and expand it from not just being based around the Bangrave Library, but into the black communities within Sheffield. So again, that was the idea of how that sort of came about and expanded. And I think you'd find with me is that I don't work alone, really. I might have an idea, but I carry things forward. Again, I think as well that I've got to acknowledge the sort of the sort of skill set that the workers at the hub had. I mean, I have to acknowledge the sort of the skill set that Sue Watkins had at.
Yes.
Because I mean, Sue was a person with an idea a day, you know, and she'd go, "Oh, why don't we try so and so and so and so?" And she'd throw that out, you know. And I was like a bit of a mechanic with the spanner. Oh yes, yeah, we can bolt that one down, you know. And so, yeah, she'd throw in these ideas, and you know, I just try and bolt them down, you know. A bit of an engineer.
Because I know, I mean, the in a conversation you did mention also the work you did with the radio.
Oh, the radio, yeah. Again, one of the very first project that I was involved in was a program that you had called Backyard. And again, one of the things that Des said to me when I came to the CRE was that he was talking to me about a one-day pilot that they'd done with the BBC that or they were going to do with the BBC, but there was a one-day broadcast strike on the day that they were supposed to broadcast it and so on. And I thought, well, I can actually do that as part of a project here, you know. So why don't I write to the station manager? And to cut a long story short, I started the conversation with the BBC about the need for community radio, because at the time, community radios was happening in other cities, but not in Sheffield. And again, I'd come from a background where my brother was working on community radio in Leeds. And I sort of said, how did you get that on the air? So, you know, again, use my contacts and so on. So and it started the sort of conversation about having a community program. And Sheffield was very reluctant at the time. You know, I can always remember the station manager said to me, well, we don't really want a ghetto program on the station. And the ghetto program, his term ghetto, I think in broadcast you use the term ghetto apparently in a different way.
Well, there's only one way we know it, isn't it? Especially at that time.
So, but the conversation was started, and what happened, one of the first things that I re-engaged in as soon as I came back to Sheffield was to continue the conversation. And, you know, we had workshops within the hub to prepare people for it, you know. This is going to be a challenge. I mean, the BBC are looking for sort of people who kind of articulate themselves and so on and so on, you know. Let's have a few trials. And you would, what then came about was a program which was known as Backyard, you know, and again, you know, Marie Bennett, Michael Busu, you know, all these people who came out of the hub. You know, Claudette Bonny was another one.
Claudette Bonny, she was with the... he ended up SIAC coming from, you know, like the what do you call it, Mr. What's his name? The guy who used to teach driving. Oh. She worked closely with Mr. Kennedy.
Oh no, you're thinking of another. You're thinking of
another Bonny.
You know, you're thinking of Mrs. Boney.
Yeah, Mrs. Boney. Ah, that's a different one.
No, this is Claudette Bonny. She actually was a young woman. I think she used to tell a lot of Nancy stories and so forth.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
But yeah, we got I think Tony Moxell and so forth. But basically, we had different people who we knew, who we talked. Some of them got in, and some of them didn't. But we actually sort of wanted to show the BBC that the people around, because again in those days, you know, the basically says, well, who are your broadcasters? Who are this? Who are that? You know, we'll find them.
Who's your audience and all?
Who's your audience and so on. So, and again, we start from who we had and who we knew. I mean, Marie Bennett, I think she later changed her name to Asha Kaumba.
I know Asha, yeah.
And she became one of the first and main presenter there for Backyard. And, we sort of taught people the different skill sets and so on. And the BBC had to listen to us in the end. And again, the other tactic was, I don't know if you remember Dorothy Dixon Barrow, but
I remember Dorothy, yes.
And Dorothy, she actually got onto the board when she came of the BBC radio and so on. And again, that helped.
I was on a board with her myself once on the Primary Care Trust, and she was a formidable character.
Right, yeah. So, and again, it's using people. So, I would say that, because I thought of, I'm a background worker, basically. I'm in the front, but still in the background. And but I would use, because I'm interested in radio, doesn't mean I have to be a radio presenter. I find the people to actually do that.
And as well, I mean, hearing from you there, I mean, a lot of this spans a long period of time. Some people try things and they try and make contacts, and things don't go the way they would like. But it seems to me as if you've got qualities which enable you to withstand difficulties.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the thing is, you can't let the difficulties get you down, really. I mean,
But some people, difficulties, people stop, don't they?
Yeah, well, I don't. I mean, I just see them as challenges, and I look, I look at ways, how can we actually get over that?
Yeah.
And so sometimes not everything works. Don't get me wrong. This was one or two activities I've tried that just didn't take off the way that I would have liked them to have taken off. But I think, I've crossed many milestones along the way,
I mean, how do you do? Because, I mean, at a point, youth work is clearly incredibly valued, and then you get to another point where it seems to not be as valued.
Yeah.
I mean, were you still working in youth work when you start to see that sort of change?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about youth work is something that we need to have. I mean, I think it's, at the moment it's in a bit of a demise, but it's something, you'll always have young people, you will always have young people going through their adolescence.
That's it.
Which could be quite a difficult period for some young people. And what you need is people who actually understand those sort of the process of youth development, the different stages that young people do. And I believe in paired education because you can get two youths sometimes the same age, and one is definitely focused, and the other one is going down a different track, and they can talk to each other. What works, what doesn't work, and so forth, and they can help each other. And I think the other thing that that I'm involved in is sort of training youth workers, because again,
is that something you're currently?
Well, I was up until a couple of years ago, and I actually believe that if you're going to come into this sort of work, you've got to be trained.
That's it.
Every one of my workers who worked for me on my team was a trained worker, And I think that part and parcel as well of working within the youth service wasn't just about working with the young people, but it was about also enabling the youth service to change.
Yeah.
Because I could have come in as a youth worker and basically work 3 nights a week, because at that time, what a lot of youth services was about was having youth clubs open 3 nights a week for young people to come in, socialize, use the cafeteria, play table tennis, and go home. Yeah, and I'm thinking, well, I've got young people who have actually, a lot of them are unemployed, so they're around all day. I've got this centre that's full of young people all day. What am I going? What do I do with them? You know, how do we find them work? How do we actually get them into education? How do we actually get them to see the skill sets that they've got that they can offer? So, you know, how do we provide those opportunities? So that's the way that I actually approach things. So, you know, so it wasn't about just being there, you know, 3 nights a week and opening the youth.
So for you, it's a really full-time occupation.
Oh, yeah. Listen, sometimes it was a 24-hour occupation. Trust me,
Yes.
You know, if you say you're working with young people in trouble with the law and you get a phone call at 2 o'clock in the morning,
Be there.
what do you do?
No.
You know, either I've got to be there or one of my workers have got to be there, you know. And so we actually work out those routines, you know, between us. And it helped the service to develop because, again, you know, more and more people, I think there were the Hub, Rawlinson Youth Club, Earl Marshall Youth Club, we were like full-time centres, you know, and it helped us to develop a more active thing. I mean, one of the other things that we found was that in August, all the kids are on holiday, school holidays. August, all the youth centres close.
So this isn't really focused on the needs of youngsters, is it?
Exactly.
You've got to turn that one round, haven't you?
Turn that one round. August, the hub was open, all August, you know, and so forth. And one of the things that we found was that in 1980, 81, when all the sort of riots and things were happening in the city, and people wondering what to do, the hub was the only youth centre in Sheffield that was open, and we got all this money to do all these activities with young people. I think when the other centres came back in September and heard of what we've been doing and where we've been and what we've done, I mean, some people were quite mad that, you know, we had actually got this.
But they've been closed during August.
You've been closed, you know. We were here, you know, because, you know, these kids don't close down in August, you know.
Not at all.
And but it helped to actually expand the thinking and the development of the youth centre. So again, I would think that part and parcel of what I've helped to do in the city was to expand some of the thinking and interaction within the city. You know, we've had some great youth centres, we've had some great youth workers here. But as I said, my approach was never to just concentrate on.
So, would you say then? I mean, you know, we all have an age there, and you ask yourself, what's the things I'm most proud of? What sort of things is it in your youth work, or is it in other aspects of your life, or they sort of intermingle?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, I've got to say that, you know, my interest has always been community development focused. So young people is a major part of that. You know? I think I have a good understanding of young people and where they're coming from, or I used to have. I don't know.
Oh, it's still the same.
You know, I'm out of practice now. But part and parcel of what I was doing was about community development. So you'd find that I worked closely with then what was the West Indian Community Association, and that community association changed into what became Sadaka. So and so the part and parcel of that journey that brought them out of the huts at Oxford Street via the Philadelphia Centre, where we were as a temporary measure, and into 48, the Wicker, which became Sadaka. So somewhere along the line, you'd actually see me cropping up along there. And quite a few of the sort of organizations that you've got, somewhere along the line, have been part of the initial developments of those. Because, you can't, there's nothing you can actually do in isolation.
No.
What happens if you say the youth service is 16 to 19? I think in the main we work from people from about 11 to 19. But then I had a solid group of 19 to 24-year-olds that I had to work with and deal with. What's the next stages for them?
Yeah.
It's employment, education, or what.
So outside of then the youth work, which is, how long did you work in youth work for?
A long time, 30 years.
Oh, it's a lot,
30
man.
years as a full-time worker, yeah.
Yeah, so when did you finish with youth work?
Well, I finished with you.
That's what you would finich. Wrong term.
Wrong term, I know, because I didn't really finish with youth work until, probably about the last 6 years, 5 or 6 years ago, at the pandemic, really, 2020, because I left sort of the sort of face-to-face youth work and was working with Yazzie, doing youth work training. So what you'd find that I was training people at level 2 and level 3 in VQs into to get the youth work qualification. And then once they got to level 3, I was working again with the sort of university and so forth to move them into the degree course for youth work. So always, as I said, I've always had this underlying thing that I wanted people to be trained and to be trained properly. Yeah.
And then we talked at the beginning there about lots of your interest. And one of the interests which you're known for, which I know you for, and others know you for, is your incredible love of carnival. So where is that? I know Leeds, you're a St Kitts man, Leeds as well. You can see, I know where it comes from, but has it always been a part of you?
Yeah, carnival and culture has always been part of me. And, culture is there, it's a part of us. It's something that's there that needs to be celebrated. It's something that's part of my makeup. I've always had an interest in carnival, and hopefully always will. I've been all over the world, the carnival.
So tell us some of the carnival.
Yeah,
let's do a carnival tour.
But then one thing you want, I have mentioned, being kind of carrying the bags for some of his trips.
Carrying the bags.
Yes,
You're the bag carrier. I think he's touted. He thinks there's space in one of your suitcases.
No, there is space. No, this I'm sure, Donald. There's space somewhere because he's been one of the guys that I wanted to work. He's a photographer. For me, as a photographer has been one why I'm trying to kind of stick close to him so that
I have an image of you, Leroy. I've been to things, and I'd see you, this tall man there. And there's the camera.
And then there's the camera, innit?
We'll start off with the camera. One of the things that camera and carnival. I wasn't at the very first carnival in Leeds, which I think was that in about 75 or something like that. And I can remember my mother going to the first carnival in Leeds and leaving us at home.
She wants a party.
But after that, I've been to every Leeds carnival.
Every Leeds carnival.
And one of the things that Leeds enjoy about me is that I actually have always taken pictures of Leeds Carnival.
Yeah.
So they've relied on me over the years to help them with their archive.
Yeah.
Have you got a picture of so and so? I mean, you know, I get those sort of phone calls all the
Yeah.
time. Or people, every time I got to, remember that picture you took when I was 6 years old and there was in such and such a truth, and I'm thinking, I can't remember.
So what do you do with all the photos? Because have you got an archive?
I'm going to tell you in a minute.
Yes.
So one of the things that I did for Leeds was that I always took pictures, and I think in the 70s I used to take a lot of slides. So, they always had a presentation evening, and one of the things that I always used to do at the presentation evening was a slideshow for them.
Yeah.
So, because a lot of the people, if you're in costume in your troupe, you don't actually see what the rest of the carnival is about. So they used to enjoy seeing that. So for year in, year out, I used to actually do slides for them, and later I used to just do a basic video for them and photograph them. And one of the things that used to happen every year, until I think everything was sort of is pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, but up until a couple of years ago, was that in the centre I would always do quite a large photograph. I think an A0 photograph of the. I can't even remember the term, but I would actually show the pictures, and they would be displayed within the centre and so forth, so that they would actually see them. So I have a sort of like a 50-year involvement with Leeds Carnival from a kid, and they sort of have relied on me to actually for some of those early records. And one of the things that I did with 3 other guys for their 50th anniversary, we actually did a book called Let's Celebrate. And again, the early pictures in the book are my pictures, you know. So that's one.
50 years of Leeds Carnival and more.
And more.
And more. So you've been there in the pouring rain.
Exactly.
And last year it was very fortunate because it was absolutely glorious, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I mean, I haven't been to anywhere near the number you've been to, but what I really saw there was how big it's become.
Yep.
I mean, it really is.
I mean, but it's not only that it's become big, it is part of the culture of Sheffield. It's part of the culture of Leeds, and it's actually got some sort of level of recognition within the city of Leeds, you know. And the young people coming up have made it their own, you know. So it's just embedded as part of the culture of the city. And part of that, I think, is that
all the streets now. It's all carnival, isn't it? Every street in Chapeltown now is carnival.
Yeah. And I think it's kept its carnival base in terms of there are certain things within the carnival that's traditional.
Yes.
And they've kept that tradition, you know. And because it can quite easily degenerate into a music festival.
Yes.
You know. And it's easier to do.
You say degenerate.
Yeah.
I sound like that argument back in the 70s there. And Jamaicans just want to play sound system.
I purposely said that because I think, you know, the music is part of it, but the costume is part of it. The meanings behind some of the costumes is part of it. Because, you know, carnival, there's a lot of mimicry that's going on in there. You know, I've been to sort of like Trinidad Carnival, for instance, and you sort of see the different categories that they've got in that carnival.
Yeah.
You see the sort of old mass, the traditional stuff, the midnight raid, and so on. And, you know, you go back to the sort of like the African traditions and so forth. And you think back, well, why carnival and why this dressing up, you know? And for one day, you can be a king, you can be a prince, you can be a princess, you can be a queen, you know, you can be the midnight robber, you know, whoever you want to be. And it doesn't matter whether, you know, if you are my teacher on Monday and you want to dress up, that's up to you. You know, I'm not going to hold it against you when I go back to school
Yeah.
on Tuesday, Wednesday. You know, so anybody can participate.
So have you been to Rio then?
I have the 1 year that I should have gone to Rio, I could not afford it. It was going to cost me a fortune,
Yeah.
and I could not do it. But I mean, I've done Caravana in Canada, I've done Trinidad Carnival a couple of times, I've done St. Kitts Carnival, I've done Rotterdam in Europe, I've done London, I've done Leeds. I've done London Children's one. I haven't been to the main Monday one because I have to be in Leeds on the Monday.
On the Monday, yes.
So I go to London on the Sunday. And Leeds on the Monday. Where's I've been? I've been to Caravana in Canada. I've been all over.
Do you
the
feel? I
place.
mean, maybe I'm wrong here. Do you feel as if Carnival in Britain is? Because there's a time when Carnival felt as if it was going down a bit. Do you think it's got a bigger prominence now? People, because I went to Manchester last year, Nottingham last year, and they were all very well attended. And I know Leicester has a good one as well.
Yeah. I mean, the carnivals are well attended, but what I think everybody is suffering from at the moment is funding. You know, because it's not cheap to provide a carnival, and the infrastructure for carnival costs a lot of money. You know, I mean, we've tried in Sheffield to regenerate and bring back carnival.
Yes,
and that in itself, the money you need just to set it up. You know, I would prefer to spend that money building really nice, great costumes. You know what I mean? But if you're talking about 15 to 20 grand just to get it going, you know, it's a lot of money to find. The challenges of even the sort of risk assessments and so forth that you have to do these days, because there's all sorts of risk assessments and securities that you have to have in. You know, they provide challenges to everybody, including the police. You know, and you'd find that even in Leeds, the way that they've actually sort of address the route. The route has changed, and it's all. You know, I think a lot of that is security based and so on. You know, it's got a smaller route, and that detracts from the main reason why you want carnival. And I know one of the things that Leeds didn't do last year, for instance, was to have the children's carnival, which they normally have the week before, where they choose a prince and princess. And I actually would love them to bring back the children's carnival, because I think that one of the reasons why it has grown is because you've had children from a young age started in carnival and wanting to continue. If I was the main princess in Leeds, you know, 10 years ago, I want to be queen this year. You know, so you actually have that tradition. And incidentally, you know, our Sheffield people have gone and dressed in Leeds and entered the competition, and we've always done fairly well. We haven't had a first place, but we've had seconds and thirds.
Maybe next year, let's go.
We've had seconds.
And it's great when you go up to the Leeds Carnival and you're bumping into loads of people from wherever you are. So Sheffield, Nottingham, it has got lots of people coming from all over.
The place, Yep. I think it's a good place to meet people. You know, sometimes the only place I meet people is year in, year out. Once a year, I'd meet old friends.
So you're not sure you don't party anymore then?
Yeah. God, you always.
He's an after party man.
Two of the carnivals that I haven't mentioned is it's the St. Kitts Carnival, which happens at Christmas time. So they'll be preparing now for it, and that will be 12 full days of fun. 12 days of fun. You know, through the 12 days of Christmas leading up to New Year's Day.
That makes sense now.
They will be because a lot of the carnivals are based around religious festivals as well. You know, you'd find that the Trinidad Carnival and the Rio Carnival happens on the main carnival happens on the Monday and Tuesday before Ash Wednesday.
It's the end of Lent, isn't it?
Yeah, so you're talking about Lent and so on. So it's around those sort of festival times, you know. But St. Kitts Carnival is quite good, and also the Culturama in Nevis is quite good. And again, what's good about places like St. Kitts and Nevis is that they keep in bits of the tradition. So we have what they call masquerade. And the masquerade, I think in Jamaica you call it John Canoe.
Or John Canoe.
Yeah. And those are sort of traditions that come over from Africa into the Caribbean. The man on stilts, which we call the Mokajumbe.
Yeah, which you could see in Senegal or somewhere like that.
Exactly, that's it. I mean, again,
The John Canoe sounds like the Senegalese.
That's right, yeah. So, I mean, I love Mokajumbe, you know, the man on the stilts. You know, and again, I mean, the Makajumbis in Trinidad seem to be getting taller and taller. You know, how on earth they keep up on those stilts all day, I don't know. You know, you see a man on a tall stilt, and when he wants to rest, he's sitting on somebody's roof. You know?
I know as you're talking about it, you could see you getting excited about it.
Because everybody, I think everybody should go to Carnival once a year. Everyone should participate and dress up in Carnival at least once in their lifetime. You know. You know,
and you've got two of us here, I mean, who don't mind, you know.
I'll dress you up.
I think I'll participate.
No,
I have seen, because I tell you
I
what,
wouldn't mind
the dancing, you know, when you're following that truck, that seems like hard work.
You just get in the space. Like if you go to a big carnival and you know, some people would say, you know, oh no, it's all that soca music all day and so on. But, you know, as the day goes on, your foot starts to move, you know, and starts to tremble, you know. And before you know it, you know, the man says, get something and wave, and you've got your handkerchief in your hand, get something.
I think for me, why I would love, I mean, I've been to the Notting Hill one. Why I would love is probably kind of to go in as a documentarian, you know. Because I think I mean like we alluded to the photography and stuff which you do quite a lot, which and I know at the moment you also got the Caribbean footsteps.
Talking about Caribbean footsteps, I mean that exhibition is quite a good exhibition. I mean, and if people haven't been to see it, they should actually take an hour out and go up to Western Park Museum and have a look at it. I mean, one of the things we actually have in the ceiling is a carnival costume that we made in Sheffield in 2019, called the Phoenix. And not only is it a spectacular costume, but again, what that marked, because every costume has a meaning behind it. It was, the phoenix rising from the ashes. And we've restarted Carnival. But, you know, we haven't been able to continue it in the way that we would have wanted to. It is hard work. So if there's any people out there who want to run a carnival,
you've heard it now. And if there's anyone out there who's got £20,000 as well,
that's a challenge here. But it will be worth it. It will be well worth it.
Of course, it's worth it.
What you actually find is that once it's established, anyway, it will generate its own income anyway. You know, once you actually get it going and the ball starts rolling, it will generate its own income. And what Leeds has found is that it actually brings income. And a substantial income into the city on that day.
What do you think about Nottingham, which had no tradition of carnival, and it now has a good carnival?
I mean, I would always advocate that we should try it. And again, it's part of our cultural set. So it's good for the young people to actually see something that is traditionally theirs. It's part of our tradition, and it is the music is nice, the dancing is nice, but the meaning as well behind some of it.
And especially for some of these young men, I mean, they could find potentially a wife and vice versa.
Yeah.
You mean you don't have to do internet dating anymore?
No, no, you can't. You don't have
No
to
more
do
going
that.
to a club, no dating.
No, yeah, you go out and see people, and you approach
See
and,
people.
you fraternize
good
with people.
food.
Yes,
Yeah, but-
and eat
yeah.
some good food.
Yeah, but I will just turn that around again and say another thing is it's street art.
It is street art.
It's just, when you think the costumes, the thinking that's gone into
Yes.
making of some of those costumes, the creativity.
Yeah,
that's
and
in it.
I mean, that is one of the things you do marvel at, is that when you see the costumes, then you marvel at the work which has gone on before. And I
That's
think
it.
you've been saying it as well there. Carnival is a year-long thing. It's not just what you see
On the day.
day.
No,
This has been taking place for such a long time there.
yeah.
And last year I was on the main street in Leeds as the carnival went by, and I hadn't realised how many floats there were going to be. They went on forever, and it was fantastic because I was here and the they were coming by, but the sheer joy of the groups, the people in there, they were really celebrating being a part of something.
That's right. Yeah.
But that's it. It's sorry to cut you. But what you were saying about it's a year-long thing. I mean, we always talk that the only time that black people seem to do anything is in October during Black History Month. But imagine if there was like a series of activities throughout the year as people, and then it culminates in
But
Carnival.
I would say that we do things all year round. I mean, I do. I don't think that we actually program it and coordinate it the way that it should be done. I actually do things in October for Black History Month, and I will stick to that marker. I don't think that it's the only time to do things. We've got we can mark Bob Marley's birthday if we want to do. We can mark Nelson Mandela's birthday if we want to, and we do. Some people celebrate Martin Luther King's Day. We have when we had the carnival, we had that in August and so forth. So there's different events that we do. Whether we need to devise a cultural calendar or something like that. And putting so that everyone can see the contributions that we are making. And we're not making them just for ourselves, I think we're part of the cityscape, and we're doing it.
Well, I think that's the
for
other thing
others
you
to
do see with
participate.
Carnival, don't you? Because you see with the people who are actually in the floats, they represent the many different people
right.
who are in a city
that-
like
in
Leeds
that
or Nottingham or
community.
Manchester, wherever it might be. And we were saying before about, the diversity is exciting.
That's
There's
it,
an
so-
excitement. That's why I felt excited.
Yeah.
I felt proud.
It adds to the diversity
It does.
of Britishness.
It does, yes. I mean,
Yes, no, but that's it.
yes. And
No,
we
'cause-
contribute so much, don't we?
Because
Contributed so
actually
much.
before you came, that's what we were griping about. Like Donald was looking like thunder when he came in. He's like, I'm tired of this news.
I'm tired of the running down of Britain as it is today, because actually I hear it as another message, which is, Britain's not as good as it was because of all these black and brown people. I'll turn it around. Britain is as good as it is because of all of these black and brown people adding to and contributing to the
Amen.
many things which are good. Yes, it's got its issues, it's got its problems, but I get
Every
tired.
place
I
has.
get tired of. Anyway, that's another podcast. It's another podcast.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like the grumpy middle. Well, I'm not middle-aged, the grumpy old man.
But to be honest, we are of that age, where we are justified for a little grumpiness here and there,
But Leroy doesn't come across.
No.
You don't want to. I actually think we've made a valuable contribution to this society.
Yes.
And sometimes we ourselves don't recognize what we bring.
Exactly.
And yes,
exactly.
absolutely.
And
No,
so if we
exactly.
get a chance to actually either show that off, to share it, to develop it with other people, to invite people in to participate with us. You know, that's all. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You know.
But
And-
that's it. Because for me, I've often said, you know, we had this. You remember when Obama came into office back in the day,
2008.
2008. There were some of us who said, well, Britain will never have an Obama because, you know how it is, because it's not for the mainstream, for the indigenous population to actually make that happen.
Yeah.
It's for us to make it happen.
And our young
You know
people,
what I'm
I
saying?
think, our young people are sort of changing, and they're actually helping to make that happen.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I sometimes get annoyed with our young people for not actually buying into some of the things that I'm interested in. But,
Yeah.
you know, when I think back, I'm thinking, well, I did certain things that was different from the way my parents
The
did certain
things are evolving and
Yeah,
change,
that's
and but they evolve and change from something. And
Yes.
you know, they say about creativity, it's on the shoulders of others.
Yes.
So the way in which younger people, sort of present culture today will be slightly different to how it was before, but you can still see the thread of it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
That's
right.
it.
Yeah.
So my question, though, and I think I've mentioned this before, why didn't you run for public office, bro?
Why didn't I run for public office?
Yeah.
I was too busy.
Because
I don't know. I don't think I'm not a politician, really, or anything like that. And I think I'm a people person. So I like to work with the grassroots. I think that sometimes I'm a bit misunderstood. I think because I stick to wanting to work with grassroots people. And some people, I can remember in the past, my boss would say to me, "But that's not your job, You're a senior officer now. What are you doing? Sort of like doing the practice, the everyday practice,
Yeah.
And I'm saying, but I love doing the everyday practice. So yes, most of the time, yes, I'll get my senior work out of the way. I'll do all the administration and all the paperwork, which is boring as far as I've got. It's necessary, but it's not as interesting as actually doing the practical bits on the ground. So I like working on the ground.
Yeah, it comes across in everything you've said there that you've loved what you've done.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
I know. I
Yeah,
mean, I
man.
haven't got any regrets. I mean, I think that there are things that I could have done better. There are things that I think have worked the way that I would have liked it. I mean, I love the fact that we were able to get that exhibition up.
Yeah,
And
and it's a very good exhibition.
I think it's people laugh when I say to them, it's taken 30 years to actually get it there, but it has been as a 30-year journey.
And it's in a prestigious place.
Oh, it is.
Yes.
Western Park.
Western
If you're
Park
from
Museum.
Sheffield, you live in Sheffield. And especially if you have children, at some point you're going up to Western Park, and you're going to be in there, looking at the all the stuffed animals, and then down there you've got the exhibition. And the opening was brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah, and there's been lots of footfall. It's been consistently visited, which is one of the main things.
Yes.
Which other community has actually managed to negotiate a 3-year
3 years,
space?
I know.
And that has opened the doors to a lot of other people. And I think, like a lot of the work that I've been involved with, has opened a lot of doors in the city. And I quietly go along and do my thing, and it's not about actually seeking any praise for it or anything, but I'm consistent. I've sort of checked my milestones, and eventually, we've got there. As I said, Western Park for me is a major achievement. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would, again, it's a team of people that's done that. You know, I mean, there were 7 of us working on that, and there was some brilliant professionals from the museum that actually, who created it with us. You know, so it wasn't a one-man thing, but it's a journey that I've been on, mainly with Clinton McCoy. For years, we've been doing little exhibitions and putting things up. And
I remember Clinton was telling me about it. He said, we're doing this work. Leroy and a few others are doing this. And I joked with him because you had the big official to all the big people, and I got the invite to the little people.
I didn't even get the invite.
Clinton said to me, "You come into it on, I think it was on the Wednesday night." I said,
"Was there any kind of?"
I said, "Clinton, I'm a little person."
No, but that's what I'm saying. I didn't get that. That invitation basically flew by wayside.
I will make sure that when we do the next section, you're first on the list.
My question then, to sort of, kind of wrap up a little bit, because I'm aware of the time. What do you want to be known for?
What do I want to be known for?
Yeah.
No, that's something that I've never ever thought about.
Because considering you have done so much and you continue to do so much.
Yeah, I mean, I think, if I don't know. People will decide, what they want to remember me for. I think a lot of people remember me to this day for the carnival that I first put on in the city in 1980 or whatever. I think the first carnival we got involved in was in 1979. I took a group again to Leeds Carnival. And I know Leeds seem to be cropping up all the time, but that is where my sort of background lies. But so some people remember me for sort of carnival. A lot of people remember me for the Caribbean Fortnight that I did, because the Caribbean Fortnight was like 14 days of activity where we did a different activity every day. And so for me, it was the first festival that I brought to the city. It established itself. And it only finished after 12 years, I suppose, because, I had a career that I had to do. I moved to another city for a year to actually to work for another authority. Then you know what I mean? And came back. So there were sort of personal reasons why I had to drop out, and nobody actually then took up the mantle and continued it. But I think, the Caribbean Fortnight to me was important because people still remember it and talk about it. We did we had our community days. We had a health day. We had an education day. We had an Africa day. We had a carnival day. We had a fashion show. And so forth. So there was different things happening. We had plays and so forth that was happening. And again, one of the things it's important to remember, we have plays coming into play by black actors and actresses at the Crucible now. Think back to the 70s and 80s, the black plays that used to come into the city, where did they used to happen? In the hub, right? That is where we had...
I've been to a couple in the hub.
Yeah. I can remember we used to bring Timber Theatre Company used to come up and a Sunday once a month and do a play. So we used to go to see them filming things like No Problem and so forth down in London. Take a group of young people to film that. But theatre, we helped to open up the doors, and there's still a lot of people who need to actually visit and go to the theatre and be part of the theatrical scene. But it's growing, And I think, I can't forget some of those milestones that we were actually able to do, because you don't know until you try, We didn't know. I mean, when I was speaking to the museum people and they said, they offered me 3 years, and I said, And the first thing I said, because this is what I'd asked her for, I said, "But I asked for 5." You know?
You always got to don't seem grateful.
I said, "But I asked for." I just said, "Well, we can't do 5, but we can do." And at the same time, I'm thinking, 5 years, you know, we've got to get our act together, you know, to actually pull this together, because we've now got it.
Yeah.
But it's been a long journey, and sometimes, you know, you want to move beyond just the rhetoric of asking.
And you have produced that. I mean, for anyone out there who's not been to Caribbean Footsteps exhibition at Western Park, you need to go, because once you've been, it is a place over the next 3 years you will go again and again too, because there's always a new slant you take on things. You know, you listen to the it's got all the different sort of like sounds and the sights. It's a really enjoyable exhibition.
Yeah. No, I think people should try and do it. And every time you go, you see something different.
Yeah, you do.
You know?
Yeah.
And again, once you've seen it, think about what happens when the exhibition comes to an end. You know, where will the next one be? How will we develop this?
And who will lead the next one? Who will take the lead? Because there's one that you started, and I know we're very near the end now, which is about your younger days there in the boys' brigade there, doing all those outdoor things, and it developed leadership skills. And I think in the course of the last hour, what's definitely come across is that your boys' brigade period was really good for you.
Oh, I will not knock it. Some people laugh at it.
I know they do.
But
Hey, I was in the Scouts in the days. They used to send you out to these things.
That's right.
Or me, I wasn't in any of them. I lived in the bush, so I was living the real life. I grew up in country, man. I grew up in the country, so I was. What's your guys were being ferried by car to go?
Oh, we were never ferried by cars.
Were they?
No.
Oh, me, I was in
I don't
the
know
real
what age
action.
you have of it. This is the 60s.
This is the 60s.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, my father had a car in the Caribbean, but he never had a car in England.
Yeah.
We didn't have a car. We caught the bus, you know, and you had to wait there. And them days it was like proper cold.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Leroy, thank you.
So, I mean, we usually ask, so what does Leroy do to kind of make sure that his mental health is in check and he's on top of things? I mean, I know I know your retail therapy, kind of.
Yeah.
Every time I go to the local photography shop, they say, "Oh yeah, Leroy has been here."
Yes, or we expect him in 5 minutes. Yeah, I mean, I still do a lot of photography. I still try and do to walk. I don't really do country walks as I used to do in the past, but I do try to sort of keep myself active.
Yeah,
and try to keep myself as healthy as I can. Obviously, I'm older and slower, but I'm not out of it as yet.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Leroy.
This has been a conversation I've been looking forward to for a while. Yeah. I think I'm still going to remember when we started filming and then somehow my equipment fell apart. I'm filming this gentleman. My equipment stops working.
I don't know how Leroy agreed to come with you.
He promised that he was going to let me listen back to some of those things.
No, I think we may need to kind of find a very demure and beautiful. Actually, I think it would be cool to actually probably kind of do the filming in the where the exhibition is, if we got time, and just there, because that
use that space,
use that space,
we can work it out with the museum.
With the museum,
probably even go in there on a Monday when it's close to the public.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you
McLean.
very much.
Thank you very much.
It's always a pleasure, man.
Yes, absolutely.
I know, man. We are winding down the podcast, because we're getting long on the tooth.
we've got till we've got this the work we're doing because it's connected with SATMA's mental health project is ending at the end of March.
Okay.
So we're probably going to finish this around.